Find out who's speaking, who's being spoken to. Moses speaking, but he's speaking to the children of Israel. Come on.
On this side, Jordan in the wilderness.
Come on.
In the plains over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Topel, and Laban, and Hazeroth, and Diazabad.
This I have. So this is God speaking to Moses, who's speaking to all of Israel, referring to the 12 tribes. So therefore, he's not speaking to everybody. He's speaking to Israel. Now go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1 again.
Chapter 28.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently.
If thou, the thou is all Israel that Moses spoke to him in chapter 1, verse 1. So he's not speaking to everybody. He's speaking to Israel, which is the thou. Come on.
Unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Come on.
To observe and to do all his commandments.
And to do all his commandments. Read.
Which I command thee this day.
Come on.
That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
That don't sound like equality. So the Lord speaking to Israel through Moses, if you obey my commandments, I'm going to set you, Israel, above everybody else. So that don't sound like equality, does it? Read.
Verse 2. And all these nations, and all these blessings.
And what?
And all these blessings.
And all these blessings as a result of keeping God's commandments. And all these blessings, come on,
shall come on thee.
Shall come on who?
On thee.
On thee, not everybody. Go, who are you speaking to? All Israel, chapter 1, verse 1. Come on.
And overtake thee.
And overtake thee, read.
If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
If, that's a key word. That's a stipulation. If we obey and do what God says to do, then these blessings will shower us and overtake us. Come on.
Blessed shall thou be in the city.
Skip down to verse 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
But this shall also happen as well. Come on.
If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
What is this voice that we shall hearken to? Who knows the precept, brothers? To explain the voice that we shall hearken to. What is this voice that we shall hearken to? Who knows the precept? Somebody know it.
Psalms 103:20.
We're trying to get some new ones to get a chance to answer some questions. Y'all pay attention. Psalms chapter 103, verse 20. Make sure you highlight the scriptures and write them down so you get familiar.
Psalms chapter 103, verse 20.
So this is going to explain the voice that we shall hearken to. Read.
Bless the Lord, ye his angels.
Come on.
That excel in strength.
Read.
That do his commandments.
That do what?
That do his commandments.
That do his commandments. Come on.
Hearkening unto the voice of his word.
So that voice that we shall hearken to is referring to his word, his law. Because everything that proceeds out of the mouth of God is law. Now go back to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Referring to his word. Come on.
To observe, to do all his commandments.
To do some of his commandments.
To do all his commandments.
Just the 10 commandments.
To do all his commandments.
To do all his commandments. Everything that God speaks is law, is commandment. We shall obey it as his children. Come on.
And his statutes, which I command thee this day.
Read.
That all these curses.
That what?
All these curses.
That all these curses, all these troubles, all these burdens, come on,
shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Skip down to verse 6 to 8. I'm going to get straight to the point.
verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
And the Lord shall bring thee. Who's the thee that Moses speaking to still? Israel. So he still ain't speaking to everybody, is he? Okay, read again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Into Egypt. What does Egypt mean according to the Bible? Who knows the precept? Who knows the precept, brothers? Yes, sir.
Is it Exodus 13, verse 14?
Exodus 13, verse what now?
Verse 14.
Exodus 13, 14. Yep, that's it. Yep, that's one. Let's get that. Exodus chapter 13, verse 14. This is going to explain what Egypt means from a biblical standpoint. Okay. Exodus chapter 13, verse 14. This is going to explain what Egypt means from a biblical perspective or biblical standpoint.
Exodus chapter 13, verse 14. And it shall be when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, What is this?
Come on.
That thou shalt say unto him, By strength of the Lord brought us out of Egypt from the house of bondage.
From the house of bondage. So Egypt is synonymous for bondage. Drop that, give me Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 6. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 6. Here's another precept to identify what does Egypt mean from the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 6. We'll wait on you.
Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 6. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
From the house of bondage. So Egypt means bondage. Now go back to Deuteronomy 28, verse 6 to 8.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 6 to 8. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And the Lord shall bring thee, which is the Israelites, into Egypt, which means bondage, again, but this time they're going on with ships. So what nation of people did that happen to? The so-called Negroes, the so-called black people. You are the Israelites. You are the direct bloodline descendants of the people that was in the wilderness with Moses. Come on.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Meaning the same way that God through Moses prophesied it, it's the exact same way it happened, according to history. Come on.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
The it that we have not seen is our homeland, because America is not our homeland. America is the land of our captivity. Our ancestors were brought over here forcefully against their own will. Come on.
And there,
in that same area where you were sent to serve bondage, come on.
ye shall be sold.
You shall be what?
You shall be sold.
Ye shall be sold. Who is the ye? Israel. Come on.
Unto your enemies.
Unto your enemies, meaning people that hate you, people that despise you. Come on.
For bondmen.
For bondmen, meaning slave men, and what else?
And bondwoman.
And bond women, meaning the so-called black woman was right there with her man on that ships and chains. Come on.
And no man shall buy you.
And what?
And no man shall buy you.
And no man shall redeem you or save you from that captivity. Not Martin Luther King, not Malcolm X, not Marcus Garvey, not Harriet Tubman. Only the Lord Christ, the Son of the Most High, will save us. That's what we're looking forward to. From there, drop that, give me Job chapter 30, verse 30. Job 30, verse 30. So-called Negroes or black people are the Israelites. today's topic.